For a long time, travelers and daredevils have been sailing the sea to find new lands, but it's been considered unreliable and dangerous at the time. Right now, though, cruises are some of the most luxurious kinds of recreation. They allow you to visit a great amount of cities and countries. In this episode, we'll learn how cruises have turned into a tourist industry, what kinds of cruise ships there are, what does the biggest of them have on board, where can one get budget versions of sea trips, and most importantly, we'll answer the question so many are concerned about: is it dangerous, and what those with seasickness should do? The attitude towards cruises changed in the 17th and 18th centuries with the wave of immigration. Back then it wasn't about fascinating sea adventures. People with no money sacrificed everything for an opportunity to cross the ocean. The whole industry was started by the events of 1817. In New York, the Black Ball Line Company was founded. It was the first to introduce regular passenger transit across the Atlantic. Transferring passengers, though, was only additional to the cargo load. At the time, ships were driven by sails. Revolution in ship design came in the 1830s. That's when motors replaced the sails. The breakthrough was made by a company that had been working in Britain since 1818, P&O. In 1844, it had first offered cruises to Gibraltar, Malta, and Athens. They were also the company which constructed the SS Valletta liner with electric lightning. Later, entertainment programs were offered for those cruising for a year or more. In November 2021, I visited Belfast in Northern Ireland, where the world's biggest shipyard once resided. It is where the Titanic was built and where is now its museum. If you want to take a virtual tour, the link is in the description. But let's move on. Especially popular right now are cruises on big liners that are basically cities. Besides cozy cabins and restaurants for rest, almost every cruise ship has different gyms, cinemas, and even mini parks. In total, there are over 90 companies from 26 countries that provide cruises. The cruise operators and liners themselves are divided into categories. The ships can vary significantly in size, comfort, and equipment. Comfort and service-wise, there are three main classes of cruise companies: standard, premium, and luxury. The most popular directions are Mediterranean, Northern Europe, the Caribbean, the Persian Gulf, and Southeast Asia. The biggest cruise port in the world is in Miami. The most optimal cruise is arguably across the Mediterranean and cities of Europe. Most of those are provided by the Swiss company MCS and the Italian Costa. The ships cruise through Spain, France, Italy, Malta, Montenegro, and Greece. How do those cruise ships work and what do they offer? Let's look into one of them, Costa Smeralda. It is quite new, but the biggest in Europe, built in 2019. It is named after Sardinia's island, Emerald Coast. It was built in Finland and cost almost $1 billion. It's Costa Cruises' first ship and the second in the world fueled by liquid gas, which makes it one of the most environmentally friendly in the world. It has 1612 cabins, 1550 of them with balconies, 13 pools and an aqua park, 11 restaurants and 19 bars. Minimal trip is 7 days, going through Savona, Marseille, Barcelona, Palma de Mallorca, Palermo and Civitavecchia. The price starts from 579 euros per person in a cabin with no windows. In the middle of the ship is the so-called Colosseo. In the evening it holds shows and other entertainment. Around the Colosseo are bars where you can drink some wine or order a cocktail. There is also a Piazza di Spagna for open-air events. On the top of the ship is the San Remo Theatre with music shows and performances in the evening. And of course shops and bars are there too. The ship even has its own museum on board, Costa Design Collection Museum. It exhibits Italian designers' masterpieces, including the legendary Vespa. On the top deck you can find treadmills, a football pitch, basketball and tennis courts. There is also a spa center with a beauty salon, sauna and Turkish hammam, treatment rooms, snow cave and a salt room, also featuring unusual massage tables with water mattresses or warm sand. What kinds of cabins there are? Of course, there are standard ones, luxury ones, cabins with terraces and with balconies. You can buy one overlooking the ocean or the ship. Then the simplest ones have everything one needs for a comfortable living: a bed, shower room, a cabinet, a safe, and a TV. Ones where the verandas have couches. The most expensive cabins are called suites and samsara suite. These are rooms for two, approximately the size of a modern apartment, 54 square meters. Price includes drinks, internet, visiting the Panorama restaurant, which is only available to suite guests, a free day at the spa, priority boarding, and even butler services. Suite passengers get a welcoming bottle of champagne and a mini bar, which other cabins don't have. Samsara suites gives you free spa access throughout the entire journey. Costa Smeralda offers cruises across Northern Europe from St. Petersburg. The route is St. Petersburg, Helsinki, Stockholm, Tallinn, and then through Helsinki back to St. Petersburg. The journey is 7 days long and price starts from 519 euros per person. How about those with seasickness? If one gets sick in a car, does that mean it will happen on this ship? Ship's crew will often reassure passengers that in order to get sick, there must be a significant rocking, but a cruise ship size, especially one like Costa, won't allow it to rock much. It's too heavy. There might be rocking during a powerful storm, but it's not easy to get into one. Modern cruise ships are built taking seasickness into account with a special stabilization system to reduce it. If you still have doubts, choose a cabin with the least rocking on the lowest floor at the center of the ship. The highest risk of getting sick is at the top floors along the edges of the ship. Another question is, what if you have to get off the ship early? Can you? Some people are scared by the prospect of being stuck on the ship without an ability to leave before set date. For whatever reasons, important work or family issues, the seasickness, or simply fear of water. Can you leave the ship early in one of the traditional ports? And what can I say? Generally, it is possible, but not on every ship. For example, the Norwegian company does not allow to break the cruise, but MSC and Costa have no such problems. You'll need to make a request to the official representatives of the cruise company and sign a paper that you know the booking rules, according to which you won't be refunded. It must be done in advance, at least a day before walking off the ship. And of course, you won't be able to be dropped off in a country that you don't have a visa for. Also, companies may allow you to spend a few nights off the ship and then join again in another port. But again, you'll have to notify the company, or they'll be waiting for you thinking that you're late and you'll create problems. Safety is perhaps the most important subject. Boarding a giant ship and sailing off to other countries can be exciting, but also scary. Thinking about tragedies on the water, Titanic comes to mind first. Yeah, that event really was horrible and we'll always remember about it, but there were also cases of ships sinking with no casualties. For example, on the 30th of April 2000, on the Solomon Islands, the World Discoverer cruise ship had run into a previously unmapped reef. Starboard side was ruptured. The captain decided to move the ship into shallow water in a quiet bay in order to avoid casualties, and there were none, except for the ship, which is still where it was left and is very popular among tourists. Every year, the situation changes for the better, so no need to stress out. UNESCO has acknowledged cruises as the safest type of vacation. First of all, going into the sea, passengers and the personnel usually go through a drill, and of course it's mandatory for everyone on the ship. You'll receive a briefing on how to act in emergency situations. Then, after a signal, you'll have to go to your cabin and put on a life jacket. There is one under every bed for every passenger. Then, the crew will direct you where you need to go. Knowing how to act in an emergency relieves a lot of anxiety already. The amount of lifeboats varies from ship to ship and depends on the amount of passengers they can hold. Despite there could be seemingly not so many, they can actually fit quite a lot of people. All of the crew members necessarily go through a variety of mandatory training and tests, participate in drills outside of those with passengers modeled specifically for them to perform evacuations. Most importantly, modern cruise ships are built with the newest technology, considering all of its specific requirements, up to rocking stabilizers for passengers' comfort. Modern satellite navigation also serves safety on board and allows to keep an eye on everything and make decisions in time. If there is a storm, the captain will have plenty of time to navigate the ship to safety, and it will also prevent collisions with other ships as well.